so many moments of working with Tim Burton on Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I'll tell you a really long story, really slowly right now. That when that script was finished, we turned it into Warner Brothers. Some of you may know this story already. There are many versions of this story. I'm going to give you the truthful version where I get all the credit in the story. The studio asked, when the script was finished, we submitted the script to Warner Brothers, and before the internet, I bought a book called Directors, and it had every working director at the time, and I wrote a list down, and just went through this book, and any director who had even like a fraction of a half of a scene that I liked in a movie, I put their name on this list. So I turned a list in of about 150 or 200 directors to Warner Brothers. And I went on a vacation, took like a little bit of time off from writing the movie, and came back, and Warner Brothers had a list of like they came back and said, it's this guy. And it was somebody who I thought, I actually said, I just worked like about 10 years to get to the point where I'm sitting in Warner Brothers' office with the president of Warner Brothers Studios, 2 presidents, and I had the opportunity to make a movie, and that's like the wrong director. That's not the right director. And I was completely inspired. This is slightly name-dropper and may seem incredulous, but it's true. And I don't think he knows to this day that he was such a strong inspiration, and that Tim Burton would even know that this is how he wound up directing Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I was at the time completely inspired by Sylvester Stallone. I'm not kidding. I mean, a lot of you know this story, maybe some of you don't know this story. Sylvester Stallone, when he made Rocky, very, very famously said no to every single opportunity he had to make that movie that didn't include him starring in the movie. Every major action star and male star in Hollywood at the time Rocky was made wanted to play Rocky. That script was never in question. Everybody wanted to make that movie, but no one wanted to make it with an unknown person named Sylvester Stallone. Nobody. And Sylvester Stallone, was just, I don't know how, I've never really talked to him about, during our many conversations we have had, I never really have gone how did you have I don't know what's the word, yeah, I do know what the word is. I mean, how he had the nerve to or the confidence to actually be like, I wish I could do a great Sylvester Stallone. Insert great Sylvester Stallone impression right here. Adrian. Of how he had the confidence to just go no, I'm not making the thing that could change my entire life and career unless you let me star in it. And so that was a very famous story within show business at the time that I was making Pee-wee's Big Adventure, or just before we made Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And I was so inspired by that, and I'm so like Sylvester Stallone in so many ways that I honestly just felt I'm sorry, no. I sat in this guy's office and they said, it's this guy and we'll greenlight the film, and I went, sorry, no, that's not the right guy. And I walked out of I didn't walk out, I left the meeting, and I had 2 managers at the time who also co-produced the movie, and they sat me down right outside this guy's office and went, are you out of your mind? Let me just explain how show business works. These heads of movie studios, they don't stay in place very long. They change all the time. And if you say yes now to this guy directing your movie, you have a greenlit movie and you can make the movie. We'll start pre-production tomorrow. And I thought, well, no, it's just wrong. I love this script. I have a lot of confidence in this character and in my movie. and I don't want to do it like that. And ironically, the two guys who were the head of the studio had the longest reign of anybody in the movie studio. They were there for like 20 plus years, the same people. And somehow, I don't really remember the bridge in between that moment and when they actually said to me, you can have 1 week to find somebody else. And it was almost like, you'll never find somebody that we're gonna, they said to me, it's the 3 A's, approvable, affordable, and available. And so I thought, okay, great. I didn't personally know a single director in Hollywood. And they had already like nixed 150 or 200 names that were on my list. So I went out that night, and I was in a comedy group at the time called The Groundlings. And I went to a party that was a lot of groundlings and a lot of people that were, it was a party put on by this woman whose restaurant I worked in the kitchen of at the time. And I went up to every single person at this party and went like, do you know a director for a movie? And a girl that I know, whose name was Mary Edith Burrell, who was a performer and a writer, she was a character that I should know the name of on Seinfeld. I mean, like a very minor character, but she was on multiple appearances on Seinfeld as this character. And I had known her, she'd been in the Groundlings a long time, and she turned around to me and she went, oh my God, oh Paul, I know exactly who it is. His name's Tim Burton. You've got to like look at him. He's phenomenal. Oh my God, Paul. And I could just see her, the more she was thinking about it, the more she was going, this is the guy, like you got to talk to this guy. And then she said to me, Paul, Shelley just worked with him. Shelley Duvall was in Frankenweenie. And my friend Mary Edith had just seen Frankenweenie. We're going to take a 30-minute break and then another hour of this story. The last 40 people could sit down there for the questions. So it's just going to be this one question. I'm going to riff on this for the next 3.5 hours, till 8:30. So, where was I? Shelley Duvall, who, by the way, this is a little bit of a digression, but I just was on a video call with Shelley Duvall like a month ago. Shelley Duvall is someone who virtually disappeared from Hollywood. Some of you may know. And I've always had such a soft spot and admired Shelley Duvall so much, particularly because she was she was involved in this decision with Tim Burton. But also, the first time I ever was hired to do something where it was starring Paul Reubens was Shelley Duvall's Fairy Tale Theater, Pinocchio. We became friends, and I just loved everything about Shelley Duvall. And she left Hollywood the day after we had our big earthquake in the 90s. She was like, I'm out of here, and moved to Texas and literally disappeared. And I just got word like about 2 months ago that she was working with somebody who contacted me and said, Shelley's been talking about you and she would love to talk to you. And we got on a video call on her birthday. I'm like a birthday freak, and so I always try to contact my friends and stuff on their birthday. And for years, it's come up in my calendar with Shelley's birthday, and I never knew how to contact her. And this year, on her birthday, I was lucky enough to get on a video call. It had been since whenever that earthquake was, 94, the Northridge quake. I think somebody could look it up on there. It's not good. When is it? 94. Oh, bingo. Who was right on that? I know my earthquake history. Street. 1994, and I mentioned she left town. Look at the people heading for the door right now. And I thought this fellow was going to be... so, at any rate, she got on this video call with me and was like, this is my first video call ever. And I was like, wow, that's so great. And we talked for an hour, and I'm back in touch with Shelley Duvall. That's the end. So back to me. My friend said to me, oh my God, you know Shelley, call Shelley Duvall. And asked Shelley about Tim Burton. So I called Shelley Duvall and I said, Shelley, Mary Edith told me you're in a movie that was directed by somebody named Tim Burton, and I'm looking for a director for my Pee-wee movie. And Shelley did the same thing on the phone that this girl had done at the party. She went, oh my God, Paul. Oh my God, what, oh, wow, he's so perfect, he's the exact person. So two people I really admired had like flipped out, and I felt both of these people knew me and knew the character and knew enough to go, that their recommendation or their vibe that it was like the right person was something I should follow. So the next day, I arranged with my manager to screen Frankenweenie. And I literally watched about the first 30 seconds or a minute of Frankenweenie. The first 3 shots, it got to, it's been a while since I saw Frankenweenie, but I remember seeing a detail in the 3rd cut in the movie of some wallpaper in the background and going, wow, this guy has such an eye, and this is so specific and art directed and stylistic. It was just so full of style, which at the time, the Warner Brothers was kind of approaching my movie like, what do you need style for? Or like, what do you know, I remember when we hired an art director a little bit later on in the story, when we hired an art director, they were like, what do you need art direction for? It's a comedy. And I was like, man, you don't get this. Like, this is really, you know, why I wanted Tim Burton. And I screened Frankenweenie. After about the first minute of it, I thought, this is the guy. This guy, like, really is, like, perfect in so many ways. And we went back to Warner Brothers and we said, we got it, Tim Burton. And they looked at us and went, Tim will never do this movie, never. We've sent him probably 8 projects already, and he's turned every single one of them down. He won't even read your script. And my manager, I don't know how this happened to this day, but my manager somehow got the script to Tim within a day or two of that meeting, and to Warner Brothers' incredible shock and surprise, Tim read the script right away and agreed to do the movie. Called Warner Brothers and went, I'll do it. This is my feature debut. I'll do it. And that's what happened. As about a 40-minute postscript to that. To really answer your question. Once Tim got on the movie, Tim was 27 years old. I was older than him when I made the movie. I was, I think, 32 maybe. Please don't try to do the math. This is like many years later. Oh my God. I'll tell you next. Tim was 27 years old. My friends would come to the set and be like, who's the director? And I'd point out Tim, who looked like he was 16 and had like the same famous bed hair that he has to this day. He had that like really extreme version of it. And I'd go, that's the director over there, and people would be like, oh, come on, who's the really the director? And he was so sharp and so on it, and so, I mean, there were so many elements to that, making that movie that were magic, that were like people going, you know, this is just, I don't know what's the term, and things just like, merge and are meant to be, kismet kind of thing, where we were so simpatico and so kind of like could speak in shorthand after barely knowing each other. We just were in the same world, we liked the same things. There were so many things that were attributed or that seemed like Tim Burton-esque kind of things in that script that are really things that were on the page, that were written in the script. That it was just like an incredible experience. And I don't have that many specific memories of like, oh, this was my favorite moment of working with Tim, or the weirdest moment, or the most exotic moment, or any of those kind of things. It was literally, it was an extremely low budget movie. It was made for, I think, $6.5 million, which at that time was like very, very low budget. And people were the studio had so little faith in him, in a way, that they assigned they pushed him to have a lot of staff on the movie that were quote unquote old timers. Like the cinematographer was somebody who had done 1 million movies, and that's what a studio or money people, a lot of times will take a new director or somebody who they consider green, and they will put them with a really seasoned cinematographer as sort of insurance on some level. And so Tim worked with a man named Victor Kemper, I think was his name, who was very seasoned and very kind of an old-timer cinematographer. And but there were so many moments in that movie that where it's not show-offy at all in style, but it's stylistic, like all the way through it. I think the thing that I think of the very most in that movie is the reveal of the dinosaurs. And when we get to the dinosaur sequence, where he had a truck, it's the end of the large mark sequence. And the truck pulls, I go like, I'll get out here, and I jump out of the truck, and the truck pulls away and it wipes the frame. I mean, it just pulls the frame, and when it pulls away, it reveals those dinosaurs. And when I saw that, I almost burst into tears. I almost am right now. It was just so beautiful and so what I had hoped for in somebody putting that movie together, that it was just incredible. And so I hope that answers your question. Question number 2.
I was.
Oh, we're out of time?